Hello. It has been a while since I have made a YouTube video. Don't really know why. I've wanted to start making YouTube videos for a while, and with everything going on, I've kind of had the time to do that. I've had the time to kind of start making stuff to put on YouTube, and I've also had the time to start reading. I've had the time to start reading a lot of books, and I've kind of had a lot of thoughts on them, so I thought I'd share them with you. The first book that I read is This Is Where It Ends. This book was given to me by a friend, and after I read the book, her mom ended up reading, or she was going to, I don't know if she actually did yet, but she's going to read the book too. It's a very good book. The book tells the story of a school shooting from 4 different people's point of views. I wasn't sure how I was going to like the whole point of view switches all the time, but I kind of didn't really notice it. And it was nice to get different people's perspectives on what was happening. One thing that I absolutely loved about the book was that it was told from characters that I felt so connected to. The characters were written very well, and they each had very distinct traits, and I followed along very well with those and found little bits that I really liked and kind of connected with, which was very important, especially since I was kind of getting back into reading. It was a book that helped me find a connection to characters and really connect back into reading, which was really nice. My favorite 2 characters were Sylvia and Autumn. They were just, I don't know how to describe them. Autumn was just amazing, and I loved when she told stories, and I just loved what she had to say. Just my favorite character is Autumn. I love the character Autumn so much that like I'd want more from that character, but I also don't want a sequel to that book. I'm not a huge fan of sequels. I don't know why. They're not my thing. I don't like them. I think they ruin very good books sometimes that are like standalone books. And so they're not my thing. But I think that having a story from her point of view would be a very good story, but I wouldn't want it at the same time. Very confusing, I know, but what are you gonna do? This book was a very quick read and not hard to understand or anything. Again, it was a very perfect book for me to start reading again and really get back into reading because it's just amazing. It's just amazing. The author isn't trying to trick you, and it's very basic language, not something super complex to understand. It was very easy to understand and read. If anyone's thinking about reading it, I would definitely recommend. It's a pretty dark subject, but it's a very good book and a very good read as well. And I think it's kind of an important topic as well. The next book I read is Delirium by Lauren Oliver. Lauren Oliver is the same person who wrote Before I Fall. I own that book and I have not read it yet. I was recommended the book Delirium from a receipt on a Barnes & Noble's recommended receipt thing. I don't know, I always get those and I would look them up, and I found that book and it sounded really interesting. The book is set in a world where love is a disease. It kind of reminds me of like the Hunger Games, but like also not, so like don't take that too seriously. It's like, it reminds me of the Hunger Games in the fact that they're both in sort of a different universe, dystopian universe, but it's also very different, the topics, but I really like what I've read so far. I've only read the first book, but it is a series, and I didn't know that at first. I finished the first book and I expected it to be a standalone, and it ended on like a cliffhanger, and then I got very upset and bought the other. Well, there's 2 books and then there's a novella, and I bought those. So I have 3 more to read, but I also bought a ton of other books and I want to read them all. I started reading this book on vacation last year, and so it's almost been a year since vacation. And it's a very slow start. With any like dystopian universe type of thing, the start is always very slow because they have to explain the world to you. Like even in the Hunger Games, there's like a whole, they have to explain the reaping, and they have to explain the like districts and stuff like that. So the explanation I was kind of expecting, but like it does kind of take off pretty slow. I picked up on a very good point from where I left off on vacation, and it was like a very good action-filled point in the book, and it really was very entertaining. I loved the ending, but it is a very big book. Like, it's a thick book, not like super huge. I have a bigger book, but anyways, it's a big book, so like it is a lot to read, but I did really like the ending. I would recommend this book to anyone who's looking kind of for a twist on a romance novel. It's not super like romancy, but it's about love. So I wouldn't say that it like focuses too much on, like, it's not just a girl falling in love. It's like other things are happening, and like love isn't the only thing that's illegal, and like a disease, like things from our world that we think are so normal just aren't in their world. Like music, they couldn't listen to certain types of music, and that's a huge thing in the book, and I love that. It's a twist on the world we have today in very small aspects, but also has a lot of truths to what actually happens today. I like to research things a lot, and when I was rereading it when I was reading the like second half where I left off, I googled delirium for something. I don't really remember for what, but I do remember that I saw movie next to that, and I was like, is there a movie for this book? And there was, kind of. There was only ever a pilot made for Delirium, which isn't that much. It's just the first episode. But it had a lot of things going for it. It had a really good cast filled with people that you knew, so it would have been probably a pretty good hit. But now those names aren't as popular. They were more popular probably when the pilot was made, you know? I haven't found the episode for a place to watch it, but I have watched the trailer for it, and it was very good, and it would be a perfect thing to turn into a series, I can already tell. But the thing is there is only 3 books, which might come into a problem when the series is supposed to end, because series tend to flop when they're kind of dragged out. But it was a very good book for a movie, TV show revival. It would have been a good movie, like a 3-thing movie. It's really long. Yeah, it probably should have been a TV show. It took some digging to find this show though, and like find stuff about it. So I don't know why, but it is very hidden. But I thought that it would be kind of a good thing to be made into a show. The third and final book that I have started reading since I kind of got into reading is Dear Evan Hansen. This is based on the musical, and it's written by the people that wrote the musical, and it's super close. I've never seen the musical, but I know the story of it, and I know the songs very well. I don't know why I said that like that, songs. I know the songs very well. Anyways, there's very close things, and you'd come to a part in the book when a song would be like playing, and you could kind of see the similarities, and things were kind of close. The part where there's supposed to be the song Sincerely Me, it was very close, but that song is more of a dialogue type of song, and so it kind of translated to the dialogue of just a book. But then the song To Break in a Glove was very, I could tell that that was supposed to happen, or that song was playing technically at the time, but it wasn't word for word. There was nothing I really like stood out to me. So those were 2 examples of the songs that I kind of like found. Yeah, those 2 were the 2 that kind of stood out to me for song examples. But I really liked the adaptation of it. It really adds a more serious tone to it. Granted, the musical was kind of made to give a lighter tone to something that is so dark, so that it's easier to watch as an audience member. But the book is very good. It has a lot of heavy topics dealing with like mental health. Specifically, Evan Hansen, the main character, deals with anxiety, and it also has a character named Connor Murphy who deals with depression, and it's also from his point of view, which I didn't expect at first. I flipped the page and it was like, the chapters are different. Hold on. Chapter 5, you see like it says like chapter 5, but then when it's in Connor's point of view, There you go. It has like a Roman numeral to it. That book is also borrowed to me from a friend. It's a very good book. You wouldn't need to like be into the musical to like the book. I think if you like the musical, you'll definitely like the book. But I don't know for sure. If you're not into musicals, it might not be your thing because you might not be as into the characters. Like I started and opened the book and I was like, Evan Hansen, love it, go. You know, I was very into it right away. So it kind of depends on where you're at with that. Again, it is a heavy topic, very dark stuff that they're talked about in the book, but I think it is a very good story and I think that it'd be a good read if you're looking into something. If you're looking at the book, I would definitely recommend picking it up. So the person who gave me that book to read, Dear Evan Hansen, also gave me this book. I'm sorry if anything looks different. My camera got hot and so I had to let it cool down, and I think I bumped my tripod, but it should be in a similar-ish state, and now you won't even know that it's in a different place. You're welcome. So anyways, I was given this book about how to put on a show for a stage. I think it's about stage managing. I'll put up a picture right here. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, and it's in my backpack across my room and I don't feel like getting it. It's a book about how to put on a show and it has a lot of good helpful tips, especially if you're looking into stage managing, but I would recommend it for directors or for simple people that are in theater. I think it's a very good book and it has a lot of helpful tips, and it's a book that you're told you can skip around, so I don't read everything of it. I'm probably about halfway through, but I've skipped a few sections that I've known enough about that I was kind of like, I don't need to read this, but it was really good. It's very conversational. It's not very informative type of speak. The person who writes it is a stage manager and he's just trying to give you helpful tips, and it's not like super, this is what you need to do. It's kind of like, this is what I did, this is what works, you might want to do this. It's a very open-ended guide. And it's also supposed to flow in the order of the show, which is really nice that you can kind of read it as the show goes on, read it before, and then kind of go back to it and be like, this is what I'm supposed to do at this point. That is currently all the books that I have read. I'm currently reading a book called In 27 Days. I have lots of thoughts on that book so far, and I'm about halfway through-ish. So maybe when I'm done reading that book and a few other books, maybe I'll do another wrap up and tell you my thoughts on those books. So if you want to see that, let me know. If you don't let me know, I'm probably going to do it anyways, or maybe not. You'll just have to see. If you have any other videos you want to see of me, let me know. If you have any books you'd recommend, I'm also down for some recommendations. I have lots of books to read and that I want to read, so I don't know if I'll get to it right away, but I'll definitely keep an eye out for the book too and see if it goes on sale, because books are expensive. But yeah, if you have any recommendations, let me know. I'd be down for some recommendations. If you like this video, give it a like, comment suggestions, subscribe. I think that's it. Bye.